Hey, good morning. I wanted to bring you a quick word this morning, just from my devos and Bible reading that kind of struck me. So I'm reading about Moses, Ten Commandments, and so on. And as part of that is the command to not forsake the Sabbath, right? You know, you got don't murder, don't lie, don't covet, worship the Lord only, no idols, etc. But as part of that, as part of the Big Ten, is this command to remember the Sabbath and keep it holy. So, there's a lot of questions about church attendance recently, especially 2020 and COVID. And I get that, man, I get that. We've had to adjust and adapt, pivot, right? So, but the idea that is there, that is scripture, and we have the command not to forsake the assembling together of ourselves, especially as we see the day approaching, that day being the return of the Lord, which I believe is soon. But what about this idea of it being in the law? Jesus talked about how when we choose to love God with all of our being and love our neighbor as ourselves, we are fulfilling the entirety of the law. So how does that play into remembering the Sabbath, church, and all of that? Here's the thing that kind of struck me is I think we understand the whole how attending church and worship and the word kind of fulfills sort of the first part of that about loving God with all that we are. We kind of associate that with worshiping God, loving on God. But what about the second part? How does this remembering the Sabbath and church attendance and all that, how does that fulfill that second part? How does that relate to loving our neighbor as ourselves? Well, in our country, we have a disease called individualism. And we tend to view things only as it affects us. But what we don't understand is that when we are part of an integral part of a local Christian body, a local church, where we're digging in, we're worshiping, we're together, that actually is a blessing to those around us. We learn from that. We sow into other people. At least we should be. We're serving. We're around people that maybe we wouldn't be around in any kind of normal circumstance or circumstance of our choosing. So, I think it's important to remember that as we gather to worship weekly, and we do that on Sunday, and I know we kind of view Sunday as a weekend, but actually, on our calendars, it's the first day of the week. Why is that? Well, because we honor God with the first fruits of our week. We start our week in worship. We start our week with the Word. We start our week with Christian fellowship. And then the rest of the week is work and so on. So that, even how we view that has become skewed. So as we gather together, and it's just so important, more important than ever, as we gather together and worship weekly, not monthly, not every once in a while, weekly, as we remember the Sabbath and keep it holy, I think it's important that we remember that people there need you and you need them. And so remember that as part of loving our neighbors ourselves, that contains us dragging it out of bed, going to church, because people are happy to see you. They need the specific things that God has put in you to be a blessing to others. And maybe you don't see that. Maybe you don't sense that. Maybe you're not aware of it. But I promise you it's there. God has a purpose. And just as a piece, if all of a sudden my pinky went somewhere, I would miss it, And maybe we don't think a whole lot about it, but it's part of the body. You're part of the body, and it's important for you to be there on a regular basis to fulfill not only the Great Command, but also being part of the Great Commission. There's so much that happens as the people of God gather, but I won't get into that. I just want to give a quick word that, it ties into the Ten Commandments, the Great Command, and so on. It's just really important. So I hope that you will, if you're local with us or online, I hope you join us. We're getting ready to start a relationship series coming up this next month. There's going to be a lot of good things, but please, 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 wherever you're at, make every effort to be in your local church in person if possible. And again, I know there's things going on in our world that are crazy, but if possible, be a part and in person in your local church. If not, get online and do it at the time that everybody, do it while it's live. So you're participating, even if it's at home, but at the same time together. Okay. Have a great day.